Okay, so what we're sitting with here, we're sitting with a problem of 8 sine 90 degrees divided by 6 minus 8 cos 45 degrees. Now what you need is you need that table. Now what I suggest is in the previous video and the video for this lesson, they give the table. Either take a photograph of the table and keep it with you, or else actually copy the table out, because you're going to need that table a lot. I don't think you'll be able to memorize it completely off by heart. If you can, great. Otherwise keep one nearby. But from that table we know that sine 90 degrees equals 1 and cos 45 degrees equals square root 2 over 2. So I'm going to substitute these values in place of the sine 90 and in place of the cos 45. So instead of 8 sine 90, I'll have 8 times 1 divided by 6 minus 8 times square root 2 over 2. Okay, well when I multiply that out, that gives me 8 over, because 8 times 1 is just 8, 6 minus 8 times square root 2. Remember this 8, we can write this 8 as being an 8 over 1, because it's a whole number. So we multiply the top by the top, we get 8 square root 2 divided by 1 times 2 is just 2. Now, as soon as we get there, we can start doing some cancelling out here, because 2 is, we're saying 8 root 2 divided by 2. Well, 8 divided by 2 is just 4. So 2 goes into 2 once, 2 goes into 8 4 times. So I'm actually left with that 8 over 6 minus 4 square root 2. What I can also do now, I can simplify this whole fraction. Even though there's a minus here, I can't cancel out straight away with the minus. I could actually take out a common factor at the bottom, and then I can start simplifying this a little bit. So I can take the 8 and leave it for now, but at the bottom, can you see these are both even numbers? So 2 goes into 6 and 2 goes into 4, so that is the common factor at the bottom. So I put a 2 over there, and I just divide each of these two terms by that 2. So 6 divided by 2 would be 3, minus 4 divided by 2 would be 2 square root 2. And this makes my life a little bit easier, because now I can actually say, well, 8 divided by 2, because that's basically what this divide line is saying. It's saying the top number divided by the bottom, and 8 divided by 2 is just 4. In other words, dividing the top and the bottom by 2, 2 goes into 2 once, 2 goes into 8 4 times. So what I'm left with now when I simplify this is 4 over 3 minus 2 square root 2. Now, this is not in the form they want. They want a rational denominator. I don't have a rational denominator because the root 2 is an irrational number. So to get rid of the square root 2 in the denominator, I have to say, okay, well, what I'll do now is I'll just multiply the denominator by what are the other half of the perfect square if this was a difference of 2 squares. In other words, the 3, and instead of minus, a plus 2 root 2. So can you see it's exactly the same bracket, and I've now made this into difference of squares. But the golden rule of fractions says whatever I do at the bottom, I also have to do at the top. So I must also multiply the top by 3 plus 2 root 2. Alright, now what happens? So at the top, we're just multiplying 4 through into this bracket. So it's just a case of saying 4 times 3 is 12, plus 4 times 2 is 8, square root of 2. And then at the bottom, I'm going to multiply these brackets out. Now, I'm going to put in an extra step that's not necessary. You don't have to put that step in. I'm just going to put it in now so that hopefully it's not confusing as to how I multiply these brackets together. I'm going to use the normal FOIL method. First terms, outside terms, inside terms, last terms. So I'm going to go, first terms is 3 times 3 is 9. The outside terms, 3 times positive 2 root 2 will give me a positive 6 root 2. The inner terms, negative 2 root 2 times 3, so it's now it's a negative times 3, so it'll be negative 6 square root 2. And this just shows you how the square roots will cancel out, because those will cancel each other out. And then the last terms is the negative 2 root 2 times a positive 2 root 2, and negative times a positive is negative. 2 times 2 is 4 root 2. So that's all at the bottom. I'm still leaving the top. I'm not going to touch the top. It's still 12 plus 8 square root 2 at the top. Now let's look at what happens at the bottom. The 9 stays a 9. Nothing changes with the 9. But look at my two numbers that have a root 2 in them. I've got 6 root 2 minus 6 root 2. You see they cancel out because 6 root 2 minus 6 root 2 is 0. The middle terms go away and I'm left with, sorry, this is not a square root. This should actually be 4 times 2. It's not a square root. I made a mistake there. Because remember here we said minus 2 times 2 was my negative 4. Square root 2 times square root 2 is 2, not square root 2. The square root will cancel out. So that'll just be 4 times 2, which is 8. So I'm left with 9 subtract 8. With that 9 subtract 8, what do I get? Leaving the top, 12 minus 8 square root 2. 9 minus 8 is 1, so that's over 1. And anything over 1, we can ignore the 1. So we're left with the answer of just 12 minus 8 root 2. Okay, sorry about the little mistake over here, but hopefully it's making more sense now. Right.